So Newcastle United have had a big stinker of a transfer window. I think Eddie Howe's been massively let down, especially considering he hasn't got any real first-team signings in the last 3 windows anyway. And this summer, Newcastle have shown they've actually got money to spend. You know, they can spend money without PSR issues. This summer, they're putting in big bids on players, but they're not getting those players. And then Isak's pushing to leave. And it's been a mess so far for Newcastle United. And I do feel really sorry for Eddie Howe. He deserves a lot better. Not just the striker situation, but you guys need a centre-back. You need another midfielder for depth. You might want a number 10 that's creative to help break down low blocks. You're in the Champions League. You're going to need depth. There's business to do. And it's just like Ekitike gone, João Pedro gone, Sesko gone when you bidded more. It's not been a good window for Newcastle, but the luck might be about to change. And we're going to talk about it because Vissa would be an unbelievable signing for Newcastle United. People are turning their heads up at it because he's 28 years old. Malick Thiaw would be a really good signing for Newcastle United. Malick Thiaw and Vissa deals look very close, look like they could be done. But also, you guys are looking at Samu of Porto, Kolo Muani, rumours of you looking at midfielders as well. It looks like Newcastle's transfer window is about to change, and this big Sesko blow has sort of prompted Newcastle into action. So, obviously, Sesko is going to Manchester United. It's set to be announced tomorrow, and I think after João Pedro to Chelsea and Ekitike to Liverpool, this was a big blow for Newcastle, especially with them putting in, I think, a €90 million bid in total, whereas Manchester United was €85 million in total. Yeah, and I do feel for Eddie Howe. And to be honest, if Sesko, as a Manchester United fan, if Sesko had chosen Newcastle, I would have understand it. I would understand it because under Amram, we've had Højlund, under Eddie Howe, you've had Isak, and you could have presented that Eddie Howe's very good at developing strikers. I would have understood if Sesko had chosen Newcastle United, to be fair. Champions League football, good manager, but he did choose Manchester United in the end. And I actually don't know why so many players, I'm going to say this as a Manchester United fan, I actually don't understand why so many players are rejecting Newcastle. I just think if you're a young player and you're looking at a project, a safe place for development, to work with a good manager, where there's a little bit less pressure than playing for Manchester United or Liverpool, and a nicer environment to settle in, and Champions League football, I honestly don't understand why so many players have rejected Newcastle, but I think just the big six have just this, they can offer higher wages and they've got more pull. But things look like they're going to be changing for Newcastle. So we're going to break down all the news coming out on Vissa, Malick Thiaw, other players, and talk about why these would be good signings for Newcastle. And I'm going to say this now, and I'm not saying this to make you happy, but I think Sesko has the higher ceiling and the higher potential, but if you're looking at instant impact to replace Isak with, I think Vissa would have a more instant impact. I think Vissa's more of a guaranteed success for you guys, and I think the best thing Newcastle can do is get a proven guy in Vissa and maybe a young guy in Samu to learn from Vissa that can be there to take over in the next few years. I think that's the smartest thing that you guys can do. But let's get into the Vissa news. So, Sky Sports' Keith, who's been pretty accurate with his information lately, said that Newcastle are ready to finalise a deal with Brentford for Vissa and hope it can be done quickly. Craig Hope, who is a good Newcastle journalist, also mentioned that personal terms with Ouattara and Brentford is very close and he can play striker, and that won't be an issue. So Vissa's new move to Newcastle could be unlocked when Brentford secure their alternative. Vissa's reps are currently in London, according to Sky Sports. And I think there's expected to be some development soon. He's been left out of the Brentford squad for pre-season games, and Vissa is one of 2 active Newcastle deals right now, and they expect Vissa to arrive in Newcastle next week. So big developments that the Vissa deal could be done, and if that is done, I will do a video talking about Vissa. I am going to talk about Vissa at the end of this video and why I think it's good for Newcastle State. So stay tuned for that. But I also want to get into news on Malick Thiaw, because these are 2 deals that look like they could be completed pretty soon. Thiaw has fully approved a move to Newcastle. Newcastle are pushing to complete the deal. Like Vissa, Thiaw is one of 2 concrete active targets right now, and his move is expected next week. Now, Newcastle's problem hasn't been paying for the players this year, which has been the problem in the past because of PSR. It's been getting the players. And as of reports, Thiaw wants them, and of course, Vissa wants them. So that's good news for Newcastle. There's 2 players that want them, 2 players they don't need to worry about rivals coming in and taking. I say that. Don't want to jinx that. Continuing on. But it's not just Vissa. I think if you're looking to sign another striker after Vissa, that says to me you probably will sell Isak. I think you probably will sell Isak if you're looking at 2 strikers. Because one's a Wilson replacement, one's an Isak replacement. Thiaw is what you've needed to centre back for 2 seasons. You need to get 2 strikers. If you get Samu and you get Wissa and you get Malick Thiaw, that's good. But you also need maybe 2 bodies in midfield. Someone that can cover sort of the long stuff, Willock, deeper role for depth, someone like a Harvey that's creative. But Newcastle are considering a move for 21-year-old Porto striker Samu. And I will tell you this now, we played Porto Man United in the Europa League. And that was probably the worst ever performance from Matthijs de Ligt in a Man United shirt, probably the worst ever performance from Sandro Martinez in a United shirt. He cooked our defence. And like people say United would finish 15th, they were rubbish last season. We were rubbish last season, but for the most part, our defence was fine. And no one was mainly a mistake for the goals. It was the attack that was rubbish, which is why we've gone and brought Sesko and Boomer Cunha in. But he cooked our defence last season. He's high on the shortlist. It might not be an easy deal. It might be a little bit overpriced. That is a good player. Like if you bring in him and Vissa, which would be probably 100 million, which would probably be like 90 million combined, and let's say you get 130 million for Isaac, you then got 40 million left to go and put on a number 10, like a Harvey Elliott, for example, because you've got a good side, but it is breaking down low blocks. But he might not be your only alternative. I think this is the one you're going to get in the door, but you're also looking at another player, Champions League depth. And you've started apparently negotiations for Kolo Muani, and he's high on the list. I don't know if this will happen. I don't know how realistic it is, but it's one to watch. Craig Hope even said that you're interested in Strand Larson, who was fantastic at Wolves last season. Very positive things you've heard, but you haven't made an approach, but it hasn't been ruled out. But Wolves have sold Cunha. They're not really going to want to sell him unless they sell him for a lot of money. You could say the same with Brentford selling and Boomer and also selling Vissa, but Wolves don't want to sell him. So let's talk about what I think Newcastle need, and then I'm going to talk about Vissa and Malick Thiaw and why I think it's good signings. So Newcastle need Vissa. I would probably go for Samu, a young player, to learn from him because I think it'll be cheaper than Strand Larson. A creative midfielder, a Harvey Elliott type player. If you want to go big, Rodrigo Mora. If you want to go big, Newcastle United, and they want to make a statement, because right now when a player is really good and ready-made and proven, you're struggling to bring them in if a Chelsea come in or a Man United come in the door. But if you go for one of the best 18, 19-year-olds and make them special, Rodrigo Mora of Porto, baller. Maybe Gallagher for depth, experience. I think players like Trippier have come in on the older side and been really good for Newcastle. So remember with Vissa and Gallagher, they could have similar. Probably cover at fullback. Who's your Lewis Hall depth? You've got Trippier and Livramento right back. Livramento can be left back. Who else? I mean, Dan Burns played left back, but that was poor. He's a centre back. And a goalkeeper that's good with their feet. There's still a lot for Newcastle to do, but if they got Vissa and Thiaw in the door for the start of the season, it's a good start. So what I think Vissa would be a great signing for Newcastle. Now, according to Twitter statistics, he scored 19 non-net penalty goals in the Premier League, which is only second to Mo Salah, who got one more non-penalty goal in 20. So that's a mad stat. Obviously, from watching Vissa play, he can play on the left, he can play striker. He's played more recently as a striker. He's very hardworking. He can press. He's very hardworking. He's very athletically good, and that's what Eddie Howe wants. Eddie Howe always wants a physically strong, hardworking side. Even if there's elements of Newcastle that could be better technically, that could be better at breaking down teams. If you're fast, if you're physical, if you can counter, if you can work hard, you can go toe-to-toe with all the big teams, which is why Newcastle have beaten PSG at St James's Park, which is why Newcastle had knocked Arsenal out the Carabao Cup. It's why Newcastle have been able to beat Manchester City and Liverpool in the Cup final, because they build a team that physically can go toe-to-toe with the best. As they get better and they come across low blocks, they may want to look at more technical players, but they've got a few good technical players. He provides cover and competition for Isaac. I'm assuming now you're looking at a second striker on top of him. Isak's probably going to go, but that's not a guarantee. It's never a guarantee. It's a World Cup year. I don't think he'd go on strike in the season, surely not. Gordon, he can give cover to Gordon, but you've already got Barnes there. But if Isak leaves, you've got a proven PR replacement. Like, if you replaced Isak with Šeško, I think Šeško would be a great signing for you guys. There's a great player. And he's definitely further along than, like, Rasmus Højlund in his development, who he keeps getting compared to. He's definitely further along than the Højlund we signed. But he's still not completely proven or completely there yet, whereas the Vissa, he is in his prime. So maybe that's better for you in that sense. He plays at high intensity. He works hard. He presses. He suits the transition style. Like, he's a good player, Vissa. And also, he brings, like, Premier League experience. He brings consistent output. He had a really good partnership with Mbeumo. He's a really good player. And I'm surprised Tottenham Hotspur, because their attack has looked dead in pre-season. But I am actually kind of shocked that Tottenham Hotspur aren't completely all over this, if I was going to be completely honest. I thought that Tottenham would be completely all over this, but they're not. Anyway, In terms of Vissa, what is he good at? Explosive transitions, which is a theme of Newcastle players. Alanga, Gordon, Vissa. Transition, counter-attack. No one wants to come up against that. Good finisher, clinical finisher. He's good off the ball, he's a good presser, he works hard, but he also makes really good well-timed runs, which is why I think you do need to think about getting a number 10. While Bruno is a creative player, your sole creativity in midfield comes from Bruno Guimaraes. Maybe if you look at a good creative 10 that could find his runs. Obviously, Elanga's a creative player. He actually has got more assists than Palmer and Saka in the last 2 seasons, Elanga. But he's got very good defensive work rate. Rare ability to be both direct and technical and physical. And I think tactically he's a fit. If Isak does stay, he can play alongside Isak. He can play on the left if you need. And Lewis Hall could overlap, and he has the ability to come inside more. But he's predominantly going to be a striker, and he complements players like Elanga, like Bruno Guimaraes that will create, and he will raise Newcastle's bench depth, their squad depth, the general depth of the squad, which you're going to need for the Champions League. Let's continue on into the next signing you might make, which is Malick Thiaw. Now, Malick Thiaw you were linked to last year because I actually made a video, I'm going to say, about over a year ago on Malick Thiaw and why Newcastle should sign him. I think I talked about 3 players Newcastle should sign about a year ago, and Malick Thiaw was one of them. So that's a pretty bad thing there. But you've always had an interest in him. I think Gay is looking Liverpool bound, but they're not doing anything. Maybe Chelsea will go in there for Gay. But I forgot what I was talking about because I just lagged out. But yeah, Malick Thiaw. Champions League experience, 24 now, was one of the highest rated young centre backs. For me, reminds me a little bit of Konate as a profile. I think Shaw is a fantastic centre back. He's fantastic on the ball, one of the best passers of the ball, but he is aging. He's getting on. You need a faster, more mobile player that is also good on the ball. And he's good on the ball. He's good in the air. He's faster than Shaw. He's more mobile than Shaw. I think Malick Thiaw would be a really good signing for Newcastle. I think he's proven he can handle sort of PL and European commitments. He's got a good fitness record, but he's also strong. He's fast. He's good in aerial duels. He's good at defending set pieces. He's good at winning the high balls. I think he'll do well with the physicality of the Premier League. Likes to defend on the front foot, be aggressive, but he reads the game well. He's composed under pressure, can break lines with passes, and I think you need, like, Botman, Shaw, and Burn are 3 good centre backs. Botman just can't stay fit. Burn and Shaw are slow and are aging. You need that young player. And I think Malick Thiaw, while he's not Premier League proven like a Gay and maybe not as good as a Gay, I think he could do really well in the Premier League because there's a mobility. I'm thinking of the pace. I'm thinking of the mobility. I'm thinking of the ability to play out, but also be able to defend against the best attackers in the Premier League. Is he fast enough? Is he strong enough? Is he good enough in the air? And I think he is. He can play on a high line. He's got a good recovery speed. He's comfortable defending the wide channels. Elements of him remind me of Konate, Konate was so good for Liverpool because it gave Trent the freedom to go so high up because Konate could cover that right channel, and I think he can do that quite well. And I think Newcastle need a refresh at the back. I think Vissa and Thiaw is a good start to Newcastle's window, but they need more. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. Bye.